All right, music fans, welcome. Harmless Dave here on the Harmless Dave channel, talking about lawsuits and arbitration and settlements. Really exciting stuff. And doing what I do in real time for a few real people just like you there and just like me here. I'll try to make this really wonky thing entertaining. I'll try, no guarantees. If you'd like to support the channel, please do. Okay. Patreon, YouTube memberships, buy me a coffee, and PJ Rock super chats. All ways to support the Harmless Dave channel. Now, Hall and Oates have resolved their dispute through arbitration. Yeah, good old fashioned arbitration. It worked. Um, so the story comes from Nashville, Tennessee, via the Associated Press, or as I like to call them, the Associated Prostitutes. Daryl Hall and John Oates have resolved their dispute over a Hall and Oates business partnership through arbitration, reaching a private ending, not to be confused with a private eyes ending, sorry, after details of their rift went public in court back in 2023. Daryl Hall decided to file a lawsuit against Oates back in December of 2023. In Monday's status report, attorneys for Daryl Hall noted the case received a final judgment in arbitration. I know, it's pretty dry stuff here, folks, and they filed a proposed order for the judge, Nashville Chancellor Russ Perkins, to dismiss the case. I wonder if he eats at Perkins. See, I don't know what I'm doing here. In mid-July, Perkins ordered Hall's attorneys to offer an update in the case, which had last seen a public filing in December of 2023. Okay, we've already gotten that. Again, not an exciting report. Anyway, it's unclear when the arbitration process was finalized, so nobody knows when this thing came to an ending. And details were not revealed about the arbitration outcome between the duo who made music together for more than a half a century, including hits like Maneater, Rich Girl, Kiss on My List, and I Can't Go For That, No Can Do, which was basically the theme or the new theme of the relationship between Daryl Hall and John Oates. See how I did that there? I can't go for that, no can do. I'm here all week, folks. Don't forget, try the veal, okay? So Rob Harvey, an attorney for Hall, declined to comment. Representatives for Oates did not immediately respond to the Associated Press request for comment. So nobody is commenting on this. Must be a crappy resolution if nobody wants to comment. In 2023, filings in the case, Hall accused Oates of blindsiding and betraying him, saying their relationship and his trust in Oates have deteriorated. Yeah. Oates replied he was deeply hurt and that Hall was making inflammatory, outlandish, and inaccurate statements about him. Apparently, Daryl and John both had a thesaurus when they were putting out these statements. I'm sure it was some publicist. See, and this is why I say certain bands need to have a publicist, somebody to write this stuff for them, because when the band members start spouting off and they don't know what they're talking about, it's not fun to listen to. Makes for good internet stuff, though. The judge had paused the sale of Oates' stake in Whole Oats Enterprises LLP to Primary Wave, who basically buy anything and everything. Whole Oats includes valuable Hall & Oates materials such as trademarks, personal name and likeness rights, record royalty income, and website and social media assets. This according to a court declaration. Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff at stake here, and Hall just didn't want Oates to unload his side of things. Why? I'm not sure. Makes sense for Oates to do this. The dispute went public in November of 2023 when Daryl Hall filed the lawsuit asking the judge to stop the sale by Oates so private arbitration could begin. So I wonder, Does Oates get to sell? Um, this is interesting because there's really no information about that. Um, Daryl Hall gave a scathing account of their relationship in early November of 2023 during arbitration, and it was made public later in the month in the lawsuit. It alleges that Oates and his team engaged in the ultimate partnership betrayal by pushing to sell his share while telling Hall's associates that he wanted to maintain his ownership. Okay, so I don't know. I guess that's the ultimate betrayal, wanting to cash out. You're John Oates, right? You're kind of the lesser half, even though I think this whole thing has made people like John Oates more. I think John Oates is pretty talented, but again, to argue that Daryl Hall isn't kind of like the brainchild of this thing, and it doesn't mean I like the way Daryl Hall has been behaving lately, nor do I think that Daryl Hall should be out there touring because he's past his expiration date when it comes to vocals. All right. I've already said that once in a video, and of course, catching a lot of flack for doing so. Anyway, in his own declaration, John Oates expressed disappointment with his longtime partner's words, saying Hall's accusations that Oates went behind his back and breached their agreement aren't true. Oates declined to go into specifics, saying he's obligated to keep details private, even if Hall didn't. So who's been more gracious here? Probably neither, but I would say maybe Oates. Last year, Oates told the Associated Press that he's had no communication with Hall and declined to discuss the legal proceedings. He did not see a Hall and Oates reunion in his future. He said, I personally don't see it happening. It's not in my plans at all. You can ask Daryl Hall what he thinks. But for me personally, no. The Times asked Hall in February if the ship had sailed on mending the pair's relationships, and Daryl Hall said, that ship has gone to the bottom of the ocean. I've had a lot of surprises in my life, disappointments, betrayals. So I'm kind of getting used to it. So yeah, Daryl Hall basically saying that ship has not only not sailed, but gone to the bottom of the ocean. Very interesting. So maybe later today they'll announce the Hall & Oates 2026 reunion tour. Crazier things happen in this business, folks. I mean, Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks are getting along enough to put out that first album of theirs, to reissue it and to make statements and to not be taking swipes at one another. So if Lindsey and Stevie can resolve their differences, I'm thinking Daryl and John could as well, especially if Irving Azoff says, hey, we can make millions. You guys don't need to go to arbitration for that. Just take the money and run. Little Steve Miller reference there. And Steve Miller, he canceled his tour because it's too hot. So global warming. Yeah. See how that all is intertwined for you. When I say I'm documenting the end of the classic rock era, yeah, every single day there's stuff that would indicate that this stuff is going away. That's why you need new stuff, all right? And that's why we showcase, and I don't have anything new to share with you today, but I will in the future. I've been totally getting into this band from the UK called King. That's King twice, right? Look it up. Look them up. If you like soulful, bluesy, classic rock sounding stuff, I mean, this band should be on every radio close by, but they're not, because radio sucks and it's a dead medium. Anyway, folks, I could just ramble forever, but instead I'm going to stop. Thanks for watching. God bless everyone. Remember, Jesus is super cool. All right? That's all I'm going to say. And I'll put a link where you can find out more about the grace of God in Jesus Christ for sinners, which would be, I think, everybody.